What's up guys? Today we are making Stradman a ring out of his Supra downpipe, and then we also are going to integrate his signature colors of purple and white. So I've got some pure amethyst crystals here that we're going to be using, as well as some strontium illuminate glow powder, which should make the whole thing look sick. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, my first step is going to be removing a piece from Stradman's downpipe that I can use for the ring. This threaded section here should work perfectly. I'll just use my angle grinder to cut this off. Now I'll use my belt grinder to get rid of any rough edges. Next, I'll use my lathe to size and shape the ring to Stradman's ring size. To work on the outside diameter, I'm going to be using my Patrick Adair Supplies expanding ring mandrel. And I'll use a brand new carbide lathe bit in order to get nice clean cuts. Once everything's to size, I'm going to smooth and polish the inside. That way it'll look a lot better and it'll be really comfortable to wear. Alright, that's the inside liner of the ring finished. Let's move on to what we're going to do for the outside. Now for the design I want to do, it requires me to crush some amethyst up, so I'll do that first. Then next I want to use a glow resin to cast all the amethyst in place. So first I need to make a little mold for that. To do that I'm going to be using these strips of paper, and I'll just make myself a little mold with the ring blank inside. Now I'll pour the amethyst in place and we can get the epoxy ready to go. Now for this ring design, I'm going to be using white glow powder that goes with Stradman's colors perfectly. I'm going to be mixing a bunch of that in with my Astro Epoxy. Now the epoxy is ready, I'll go ahead and pour it into the mold, but we're going to be left with an issue if we just left it as is. We're going to have a ton of bubbles. So what I need to do is put it in my pressure pot, which I'm doing now. This is going to crush and completely remove any bubbles. Now while that's curing, I wanted to make a special container for the ring using the rest of the downpipe, so that's what we're going to be doing. Now I really like this wire mesh section of the downpipe, so that's what we'll use for the main body of the ring container. Again, I'll just use my angle grinder to go ahead and trim off the ends. Now for the top and bottom lids, I wanted to use materials that match the automotive theme, so what better than carbon fiber? I'll just get my circles roughly outlined, then I'll use my diamond saw to go ahead and cut out the rough shape. Now I'll go ahead and perfect the circular shape and smooth out the edges using an 800 grit belt sander. The next piece of the casing will be this carbon fiber tube. I'll go ahead and glue that in place. And then I'll be using these plastic pieces on both the top and bottom to get a friction fit that will hold the lid in place, but also allow Stradman to pull the lid off. Now for the bottom, this is kind of the secret sauce to this whole container. All I did was I glued a bunch of UV LED flashlights to the bottom, and it doesn't look like much right now, but I promise you by the time this thing is finished, it's gonna look really cool. All right, that's the container almost completed. I'll have some finishing touches to do later on, but for now, let's get back to the ring and let's finish that up. I'll use my belt sander to remove all the excess paper and excess material. Then I'll throw it back on my lathe and my expanding ring mandrel, that way we can make this perfectly circular. But because this isn't metal, I can't just use my lathe bit like I did for the inside liner of the ring. As you know, amethyst is a gemstone, it is very hard. So in order to grind it down, I'm using a diamond rotary tool and I'm just spinning it against the lathe, and eventually it thins out the outer layer and makes it perfectly round. Now from here, I just need to work on the shaping and finish of the ring. So I'll round the edges, that'll make it a lot more comfortable. Then I'll go through all my different grits of sandpaper. Then we'll be ready to move on to the polishing steps. First, I'll use my Astro polish. That will do a really good job of making sure that the glow resin we used has a perfect finish. But because the amethyst is so hard, it doesn't polish as well using a standard polish like this. So for that second step, I'm going to be using my set of Astro diamond polishes. This will give us that final glossy finish that we're looking for. And the reason this polish works is because it's literally filled with tiny diamonds that do an excellent job of polishing very hard materials such as amethyst. Let's go ahead and put it in its container, and this thing all together looks so amazing. I love the container. I love the kind of sci-fi Iron Man theme that it gives this whole thing, and I really think it just kind of ties the whole thing together. We used so much of that original downpipe that Stradman gave us, and overall the look of the ring I think is spot on. It matches Stradman's purple and white colors perfectly, and the amount of glow that this has in the dark is ridiculous. If you want to see me deliver the ring to Stradman, I'll have a link to my vlog channel in the description. That'll take you to the video where I gave it to Stradman. Alright, that's going to be it for this video, guys. This ring itself is a one of one. It's not going to be for sale, but we do sell other glowstone rings on my website. You can check that out. There's a link in the description. And if you happen to be watching this video within a week of me posting it, we're actually right in the middle of our annual summer sale. So if you want to order a ring and get a good discount, you can check that out, link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.